different date on Tuesday. I'm like, what did I do to myself? Then I remembered we had another group coming from Minnesota and they happened to be landing. They gotta wait an hour for me, so it just worked out. So
Whatever.
No, that's what I needed. I needed to work. Hey, how you doing, Scott? So I just needed to be right. So. Yep, as long as it be, yep.
Yeah, so what I was gonna do.
Okay.
You hit it home after this.
Okay, yep.
She printed me out, because I had this cake, she was going to reach out to me with the same.
Oh,
picture
okay,
that I
yep.
told you.
Yep.
Yeah,
My son-
Brooke and Kyle are leaving for.
I have teas. Okay, yep.
Not right after back.
Perfect.
They're going
Yep.
there.
Yeah, I actually leave here by 5:20 no later, as long as it doesn't go there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I fully follow what you're saying. So anyway, you guys are always on top of things. I like it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
one for 8 days.
Yeah.
So I'm happy they're not staying in Turkey. Have you ever been in Turkey?
I don't know.
No.
I don't think so. I was stationed.
Doesn't it?
They launch a little
Four
bit
years.
with the hard generation.
Yeah.
You can't leave. There's no leaving.
Russia, Norway.
Wow.
Let's hope, the truth is, let's hope I can,
Oh,
because a
yeah.
lot of people fail.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
Northern part of Africa. Kenya and,
Who's that?
but Turkey I didn't make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
The,
great. I've been to
Oh.
Toledo.
What are you doing? There's no football.
I just, like the next superintendent, do I just tell them that they're on this committee or do they, don't they have to be elected?
Frank's been many years. I don't know if you remember me or not. Yeah, I'm sure. Nice to see you again.
yeah, we'll send it out to everybody.
Yeah, you got small shoes to fill, so don't.
Baby shoes.
I can't do it help, but.
Yeah.
We haven't met in so long.
It doesn't capture money.
Glad to be back in
School districts. but-
Government, it's a little far cry from city.
Yeah, I was in township for 11 years. I really enjoyed
But I
that.
remember you were at Meridian, so.
Yeah, that was just, I just left there in April.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
gotcha.
left there. Yeah, I really, that was a great job. I
Yeah.
love the township university life. The paper.
Well, hey, we'll bring the meeting to order. Take the roll, please.
I don't need to do a roll call vote.
Oh.
I just already took attendance.
Okay, great, thank you. Public comments? Any public? No, all right, we'll get right to the consent agenda.
Well, it's not a consent agenda, but it's the agenda, right?
Okay.
So it's the new business in which in which we brought you here for. So maybe just start, I know some may not be familiar with all the faces, so let's do a little bit of an introduction, because this is the first time in which we've been we're reconstituting the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for the city of Coldwater. So last time in which it was held for a project was Dollar General, which I believe was in 2011. The Culvers project actually fell under the county's Brownfield Authority, I believe, if I have all my details correct. And I have some history here, so I can look at Jeff and Bud to confirm or deny. But maybe just start with introductions and then we'll go from there.
Thank you. I'm Frank Walsh. I'm the new Branch County Administrator.
I'm Bud Norman. I'm retired. I'm the old Branch County Administrator.
Eric Beckhusen with Century Bank and Trust.
Jeff Budd with Second Sweet Voltech.
Shauna Chavez, the city clerk.
Paul Flynn, Coldwater Superintendent.
Chris Jenkins, Superintendent, Branch ISD.
Right, thank you. And I have a whole slew of staff here and we're all learning. None of us have participated specifically on the Brownfield side. We have LDFAs for local development finance authorities for industrial projects, which we're very familiar with. And our DDA for the downtown is a TIF district. And so why we're asking you to be here today is to look at a proposed plan in which to establish a tax increment financing district for a set of properties on which residential development has occurred or will occur as proposed. And there was a change in state law in 2024, which allows and qualifies housing as a brownfield activity, quote unquote. So while it may not have any environmental conditions that would otherwise qualify it, the state legislature incorporated housing as an eligible activity to help incentivize residential development. And so given the need within the state for housing, we can now use brownfield tax increment financing to facilitate residential development. So the city is looking at doing that. What that means to many of you is, and why you've been asked to be on this board is because you represent governmental entities, taxing jurisdictions. And so some of the taxes, if it were to be implemented, would be captured. Others would be passed through based on the plan. And with that, what I've asked Connor Zook is our consultant with Tritera. And he prepared the plan on our behalf, and I asked him to go through the plan itself. And then we can talk about the next steps. So.
The clicker's turned on for you.
Oh, thank you. This it? Okay. Well, I'm not that tall. Hi, everyone. I'm Connor Zook. I'm with Tritera. I'm a Brownfield consultant. Been doing this for about 3 years. Housing TIF is new. We do have one plan approved out of the 7 that have been approved by the state, so it's somewhat familiar to me. This plan, do this. So this plan looks to incorporate 7 properties in the city of Coldwater. After the split, it'll be 17 properties. So that's the way I like to think about it, is not 7, it's going to be 17 that we're able to capture from. In short, the city of Coldwater has spent money on infrastructure improvements to the entrance of Western Meadows. These infrastructure improvements are an eligible activity to be captured. The capture will come from the increase in taxes on these 17 parcels that the city of Coldwater has identified as eligible properties. What will be captured are the increment in local property taxes, with all of the state taxes being passed through to school operating and state education tax. Let me get to the fun stuff, some tables.
The tables start on page 26. Oh, unless you need. Sorry.
26.
Yes.
So table 1 is the eligible activity table. Here we can see that there's approximately 400, well, not approximately, there's $493,115 in eligible activities and infrastructure improvements, along with the $15,000 for the preparation, brings the total to $508,115. The next table, table 2, is the capture table. As you can see, the first 2 columns under your difference of taxable values, those are the pass-through. So school operating, state education, those will go to the jurisdictions. The rest in the middle there, those are the capturable taxes, estimated on future taxable value, the difference between what it is currently and what it will be. A brief discussion with Mrs. Albright. Before this, these are based on 2024 values. We're currently in 2025. These may need to be updated prior to approval. This update then will affect table 3. Currently, the plan is estimated to be fully reimbursed, or the city be reimbursed in 7 years' time. With the updated taxable value, I'd anticipate that this would push this out. Exactly how many years offhand, I couldn't calculate, but it will extend the capture period of the plan. That is everything that I have. Keith, was there anything you?
Back to the actual properties.
Absolutely. So like I said, currently there are 7 properties. After the split, it'll be 17. So this being the first where planned Western Meadows will be. The next one, these are Amberview, I believe. Yep, the Clay Street property. The North Shore Drive property. Candlewood Court. And Shoshone Pass. Anything you'd like to hit on?
Yeah, so for maybe a little context, so the idea incorporating or including some of the individual residential parcels in addition to Western Meadows itself is one, you can within the state eligibility. Two, we knew that those were properties that either are or now currently have homes built on them to have potentially captured some of that increment in value and shorten the payback period. And the including Clay, North Shore, Amberview now has 3 homes that were completed last year. And so that's why those are included to help prime the pump, if you will, for the homes now that are intended to be built on yet unnamed road as part of Western Meadows. This is the first phase. At Monday night's council meeting, the city council authorized the city to proceed with a sale of the lots, those first 10 lots, to 2 builders who were selected. And we will be working with them on purchase agreements here over the next couple of months with the idea of getting them to begin construction here this spring. So of the maybe to go through what is and isn't captured. And both the city in trying to establish this, obviously the incentive is, or the advantage is in capturing local and county taxes that expedites the payback period. I think some of the incentives that we can look at as to why we would do this is it would increase population over time, both for the city and the schools enrollment. It increases property values over time. And so, and once the payback period expires, then each of the taxing jurisdictions is going to see the full value of that increased taxable value of having incentivized the homes that were built. The intent is there is a drawing, Sean, if you can go to the very end, or if you want to, he's going to.
It's page 46. I'll just go there.
That just shows the planned Western Meadows, 2 cul-de-sacs, the first 10 lots, which represented the highlighted phase 1 area. That's what has now been built and constructed, and with 10 lots accessible to Western and the road that leads in from Western, with the idea that the city fronted the money for that construction through a capital improvement fund that it has. It's kind of a revolving fund in which when we do projects, we can fund them and then we replenish those funds. And the capture of taxes for this proposed Brownfield district would then be reinvested to extend into the second and ultimately third phases of the project.
So Keith, so the construction for the final phase, you're gonna, the money brought in from the first and second phase will pay for the third phase. Is that what you're thinking? Or are you just gonna include this in the original Brownfield now?
Well, we're establishing the district as a whole, so it encompass the entire 14.5 acres, but as those other properties come online and other lots are sold, that can replenish the funds.
Can the Brownfield be extended as you say that you don't sell the other lots, but you want to have buyers for the other ones? I'm just being futuristic. So if the third and final phase wants to be done ahead of time, because these things are going so fast, they want you to start earlier. Can you add that in the cost to extend the Brownfield, or you have to do an amendment to the plan to extend it?
If you're asking if you can add those other properties into the Brownfield plan.
No, not the properties, the costs.
The cost,
Yeah.
it can be amended. Yep.
It can be amended. That was really my question. Thank you.
So, if you ever been to Benton Harbor, St. Joe and have played Harbor Shores golf course, that was actually the first brownfield in the state of Michigan in 1996, back when it was adopted. So I go way back with this process. I just had a couple questions. So the county, if I remember right, reading this document, the county's loss is around 22,000 for the county's lost revenue?
Let me look at the table.
What would be captured?
Yeah, or lost revenue.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. And do you have it set up, this brownfield set up so that it's a $508,000 plan, take out the 15 or 16,000 for the plan cost, so you're capturing around 480. And what I've seen happen, and it goes both ways, but do you have this plan set up? Because we work with Triterra and Meridian Township and Dave. Do you have a plan set up that if you don't get to where you want to be in 7 years, that you're going to be able to extend it to get to the 470,000? You have it set up that? way?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, good.
What, I'm sorry, Frank, you had another question?
I did. So it's interesting because when you do IFTs and tax abatements and all that, and industrial district certificates, as you know, Keith, you couldn't capture anything. Once something's been built on the property, you couldn't capture. So, and I know this housing amendment to brownfields just changed. So does that allow you to capture on already built property?
It does. So with the new MISTA legislation, they actually look at your project as a whole with a generous look back period, even to phase one of a project.
That's interesting, because man, that's a really benefit. It's never been that way before. You had to create the district before you ever broke ground on anything that came out of Lansing. And the other question I had is like on the map on Shoshone, I noticed that you included the house that was just constructed there on the corner there with a backyard facing Bishop. That house just was finished and just sold, and that's included. But the lot next to it, which is vacant right now and for sale, is not, I don't see where it's included. Am I missing that?
No, correct, it wasn't. We were just looking at a number of lots that we knew that were in the midst of some process in which to be built on at the time. I mean, the planning for this began last summer and fall, and so this has been an extended period. And so, as noted, a number of the homes have since either been completed or we were cherry picking, if you will.
Sure.
To identify some properties that could help in bringing them in and combining them with the Western Avenue property to create enough value increase to shorten that payback period.
Yeah. And then finally, thank you. Finally, I'm new here, so these questions, and I may be way off, but these two homes that say Amber View Court, would those be immediately to the west of the Michigan State Police Post?
Correct.
Okay, and those were Edwin Allen homes?
Correct.
Okay. That's all the questions.
And there's a third one in that same subdivision that you can see in that picture on your screen that that Alan Edwin also did as part of, all three were built in the same time period just last year.
Okay. So it's about $1 million project, but when you back out all of the pass-throughs and the debted millage that you can't collect, it ends up at just over $500,000.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Is there any reason you didn't choose the rest of like the homes, like the triplexes that behind the other vacant land, just out of curiosity to Frank's point?
Just
Just
to
didn't
not
need to.
defer any more than we thought was necessary to the general fund or to try to capture from the other jurisdictions to pay this back
Yeah.
within a reasonable amount of time. So,
Yeah, I just wonder if it sped up the process and says 7 year could be 5 if, and those homes got built or the triplex is behind or what was planned behind Gates's.
At this point, I've not heard of anything pending there or, of course,
Gotcha.
it's looked
Could
that way.
change tomorrow.
Yeah, true.
Nope, I'm good. I was just curious. It's a great way to fund developments like because without this, you probably wouldn't have these developments, so.
So the properties that already have homes on them, will those property owners have an increase in their taxes?
Nope,
No, it will, okay.
It doesn't change their value or what their tax bill is. It just changes where it goes.
Gotcha.
Does this project include a requirement for reporting to the state?
it does not. So since this project only captures local taxes, there will be no reporting to the state.
None of the homes are income, have to be income qualified or have any subsidy. So that's the distinction. If we wanted to do a project, and we have talked with a developer that would do a project whereby maybe they either sell the homes at a reduced discounted price, or they rent them out at an income eligible level, then they can then apply to even capture the state SET. And that's the trigger or threshold in which they have to meet to capture that additional stream of revenue.
Yeah, I'll tell you how things have changed so much, because in 1996, when the law first came out, we had 400 acres of property between Benton Harbor and St. Joe, two very different communities, and the river dividing us. And we wanted to build this great big housing development. Well, we couldn't get it for housing. We could get it for infrastructure, but we couldn't even get our own brownfield, because Benton Harbor, we had this, the reason all that property's in Benton Harbor and that golf course is all in Benton Harbor is because they were a core community and we were not. And we had to transfer the property to them and let us use their core to pay for the infrastructure. Now, fast forward 30 years and you can build houses and go back. It's amazing how it's changed. It's a lot more lucrative now than what it was.
Well, and that's the incentive. That's where the state is coming from
Yeah.
in passing that legislation to incentivize new residential home development to, given the current housing conditions.
Yeah, it's great.
You said you had two developers, right?
Two builders for the lots that we've currently opened up. Yeah, we have Allen Edwin Homes. They're again still subject to approval of the actual purchase agreements, but at Monday night's council meeting, the council authorized selling 5 lots to Allen Edwin Homes and 5 lots to Alliance Builders, who are the Louders locally.
So are you doing anything to manage differences in specifications?
Yeah, there are some within the RFP. There were certain specifications related to roof pitch and bedrooms and bathrooms, driveway width, garage square footage. Aesthetically, no. And they had to be within a certain price point. So a minimum price point. So these will all be essentially 350 and above.
Did you consider any, I don't know if it's allowed on this new one, but all the other brownfields, the pass-through that's allowed to the local community, that they can take a portion of the tax to pay for all of the people that are working on this? Did you consider a pass-through?
I did. As far as I'm aware, Coldwater doesn't have an LBRF or a BRA admin fee currently.
Correct. We're not applying other cost to it, if that's what I under.
Yeah, so currently it's not set up.
Okay. Something you may want to consider to pay for all of your staff time is you could do a pass-through with brownfields and it reimburses the community.
We're so happy to have you here.
Oh, that's the first time I've heard that in Branch County. That was.
We are,
So I know we're off somewhat rarely for MERS in tax and grid financings. Does anybody got other questions? If not, I guess we can discuss it at our level. Does anybody have questions?
I'm all set, Jeff.
Yeah. Anybody else?
No.
I'm all set. Okay.
So the request before you would be a recommendation to city council in establishing a district for this purpose and approving the plan, or recommendation approving the plan, excuse me, of what's before you. And then this next step then would be conducting a public hearing. There's a notification requirements, and that'll be before the city council.
So do I hear one of you make a motion or recommendation?
I'll make the motion.
Eric,
Second.
support by Paul. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Should we have voted for the chairman spot? Do we need to do that? We're gonna meet.
I was going
And
to
we're
ask,
scheduling, just in the motion, I believe you said we had to schedule a public hearing as well.
The
you don't,
council.
we, so we'll get it scheduled and then do a publication
Okay.
in front of council, but we have the draft language already for the public hearing notices and.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, yes, I would like, if anyone else, in talking with, Jeff, he's graciously agreed to serve as your chairman if we had a motion and a second to elect him, so.
Or someone else would like to, I'd be glad to.
I'll make that motion before something else happens.
And I support.
Frank, will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your support. I greatly appreciate this honor. It's been my honor and privilege. Okay.
The intention would be not to have to do this too frequently, but obviously the last one was maybe 14 years ago. But as this project develops, there may be amendments or additions and maybe other opportunities. Like I say, where there was a property and a developer that we were working with to hopefully encourage an income qualified project that would have a more subsidized price point. And so that's kind of our next goal. So maybe it'll become more active, and I appreciate all your participation.
Good project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
No further business. I'll call this meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah.
My question.